America Linton. I chose this school because I worked in Japan for a while and I really liked living in Japan. But then partway through I wanted to pursue an education, and I always thought that it would be either living in Japan or going to America, either or. But then I found Lakeland and figured that I could do both. So that's why I chose the school.
Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from California. And plans after college?
If you have ideas.
I was just going down the list.
That's okay.
Honestly, I don't know my plans after college. Hoping I will find it soon, but I plan to probably transfer back to the States and maybe pursue something towards the arts, maybe cinema. But that could change in the next week. I might change my mind. So.
Good afternoon, I'm Simon Chikamatsu. I'm from Tokyo, Japan. I was an NIC student last year, but I only went to NIC for a semester. And I went to Lakeland College for 2 semesters, so I feel like an honorary LCJ student. I started learning English seriously when I was 17, and I'm 20 years old now. Since I started learning English, I wanted to go abroad to have a different experience out of Japan, but I didn't have the confidence, so I went to Japanese university, which I lived in a year to pursue what I wanted to do. And now I'm leaving in less than a week to LA for community college, so I'm excited, but also a little bit worried. I'm planning to transfer to a 4-year university after community college, but haven't decided, so I'm hoping for the best. And I'm also a little nervous about this today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Daiki Yoshioka. I graduated from NIC International College in Japan this April and will be transferred to the Lakeland Community College in New York. I chose to study in the United States because of its cultural diversity and high academic standard. I don't have any specific plan after graduating university, but I hope to return to Japan and start my own business. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, I'm Takuma. I'm Takuma Bekawa. I'm from Japan. And what else am I talking? What else do you have to say?
Where do you go to school?
Tama University, and I'm second year student. I was studying in New Zealand for 4 years. It's a great country. And I graduated high school there. So it was a good experience. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Shiryuki Maekawa. I'm a second year student at SGS, University School of Global Studies. And, I decided to go to SGS because I was working in this. Actually, I forgot to mention, I lived in Costa Rica for 2 years, and after I moved to the States and lived there for about 8 years. And the last year and a half, I was working in a company, but I decided to quit and move back to Japan to go to school. So, and at the time, SGS was one of the schools that allowed students to enter during fall. So that's why I chose SGS, and also because they teach classes in English. So. What else? After college, I plan to get a job that's related to English because I love the language. Thank you.
All right.
Hello, my name is George. I'm actually Japanese, but I was born and raised in Italy, in Florence, and I've been there for 15 years. And yeah, I chose the SJS school because I heard that the classes are taught in English. And so I thought it was a very good chance for me to learn English as well. And yeah, my plan for the future career, I was thinking of like working as a import-export company between like Italy or Japan and America as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Vidya Nishiyama. I'm a Japanese. I was born in Japan, but when I was 3 months old, I moved to Macau, and I lived there for like about 20 years. And then I decided to come back to Japan for the higher education. And then I chose Tama University, the School of Global Studies, because I think I can't follow. I didn't study any Japanese lecturing in Macau, and I study in an international school. So I decided to choose an international university in Japan, which was Tama University. And after my time of after I graduate, I'm thinking to get a job in Japan, like trading company, so that I can use my English for my career. Thank you.
All right, so the format of this discussion that we're going to follow is that we have a list of questions that selected members of our panel will answer, and we'll let them give their answers, and we'll go through our short list of questions, and then time permitting at the end of our session, we'll open up the floor to questions, and we'll let our panelists answer them, the ones that they want to answer, right? As we talked about before. So let's get into the list of questions, and the first question is going to Takuma and to Simon. You can pass the mic around, it doesn't really matter in any order. And the question is this: what do you think the key differences are between a global program and a traditional university program?
Okay. A good point of global education is have a chance to know about the others. Like if you see the foreigners in school, you gotta speak English to them. And for me, it is what I think is important is it is important to socialize with others from other countries, and like in Japanese people tend to stay as a group. And it is important to stay. For me, it was important to stay with Maori people in New Zealand. Pakeha, which means white people, or like native New Zealand people. And traditional education is the country like Japan is important. Like country like Japan is important to stay as a group. Like for example, there's a college called Nippon College of Physical Education, and their traditional like group performance. And this is an event that they do every year. And the concept of this event is like it's possible to perform with others who just become your friends. Like what do you say? So it's like you have to do something with the people you just met. And I think it is on YouTube or something. Like it's amazing how they perform on the stage. And traditional education is important because you get to know your own culture more. Like so you get to know your country. Yes, that's what I think.
All right, thanks.
So I've been in both a traditional university and the global program here at Lakeland College. So I'm going to speak based on my experience. The key differences between a global program and a traditional program is that a global program has a smaller class size. The lectures are more interactive rather than the professors just talking all the time, and there's way more homework that you have to do. I think people usually say that diversity and being able to hear different opinions is the key difference. However, those aspects are not as good enough to be a strong point for a global program in Japan. If we were in the US, for example, I would think a traditional university program in a state that has absolutely no interest in globalization, the student population will probably be predominantly white. On the other hand, a global program in the US will being a melting pot with many international students, and the domestic student population will also be diverse with Asians, Latinos, blacks, whites, and so on. So there's a big difference. But in Japan, although Japanese international schools have many international students, they actually have almost the same number of students in an American global program. But both global and traditional courses in Japan are predominantly Japanese. This makes it difficult to exchange different ideas from different countries because Japanese students are more likely to stay in their comfort zone, surrounding themselves with only Japanese students. I saw this in Lakeland College as well, whether it is a group discussion or a group presentation. Japanese students tend to team up with the people they already know. So, to summarize, the key difference is having a smaller class size and having a more intense workload. But in terms of diversity and communication between Japanese and non-Japanese students, I think there's much more room for improvement. Thank you.
All right, thanks guys. Why don't we move on to number 2, which is about your expectations before you started college. So the question is, what expectations did you have about international education before you started studying at your school? And how has your experience compared to your expectations? For example, were there any surprises? And we're going to turn to Hiroyuki and Yudai for this one. Yuki.
Okay, so actually, when I was in Costa Rica, I attended international school for about, I think, 2 semesters, and so I actually kind of knew what, international school is going to be like, the environment and everything. But when I actually started going to SGS, I was kind of shocked because, most of this, I would say almost everybody's Japanese, and but so I was kind of shocked. And then I started taking classes and started meeting new people, and people have very interesting backgrounds. Like some kids, they look really Japanese, but the father might be from Turkey, or the mother could be from UK, or many people with many backgrounds, and they tell me about their, they wish they had more. They kept in touch with their, parents, heritage, and things like that. So it was really interesting to meet new people with that I didn't, really know about. And also, I talked to their teachers, and there are many teachers from places that I don't really know about. The teachers from like Kazakhstan, or maybe UK, US, and many countries around the world. So yeah, at first I was kind of shocked, maybe in a bad way, but after a while, I got to see, all the variety and what you call diversity. So I would say I'm really happy right now.
All right, thanks, Yuki.
So when I was in Cal, I was in the international school for about 7 years. So I wasn't expecting, rather than teaching English in the university. But when I was in Cal, I thought university was like an extension, having an extension class after high school. So I thought we would be having a same class in high school, like more deeper one. But when I came to Taiwan University, I was very surprised. The class was very interesting because you can learn about a foreign culture, like make your vision more bigger, like globalized, and that was very fun. I was really happy right now.
All right, thanks. Question number 3 is, I guess, related to question number 2. Specifically, did your high school or did your education before your current school prepare you well for the course of study that you're on now? And also, if you have any, what changes would you recommend to better prepare students for a more internationally minded kind of college education? our college experience. And so we're going to ask Daiki and Teresa for this.
Yes, I would say I was well prepared. I went to the high school in Tokyo by the name of International Christianity University High School, also known as ICU High School. It is a private school, and 70% of the students are returnees. ICU High School has a unique curriculum focusing on globalization, and it allows me to get prepared for NIC and LCSA. So how? There are two things that allow me to get prepared. First of all, unique classes. I took college prep class and international relations class in English. I also learned cornell note method, rhetorical techniques, how to present the idea tersely, how to refute arguments logically, and most importantly, how to survive in the multicultural environment like here. These classes are usually not offered in regular Japanese high schools. Second, unique programs. ICU High School has been recognized as Super Global High School by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology. The mission statement is to foster global leaders so students can have varieties of opportunities to learn about globalization. When I was a student of ICU High School, professors from other countries came to my school and gave lectures about their unique experience and specific problems other countries are facing. We had a deaf Korean woman who faced severe discrimination in Japan, a photographer taking pictures of global warming in Antarctica, and a woman from Finland who described harsh reality Japanese women are facing. Then, students exchanged opinions about the lectures, and we had opportunities to present our ideas in class. So my point is, we got input and we outputted it. I frequently heard majority of Japanese higher education is rather receptive. That means students got input, but nothing else happened. To sum up, I think unique classes and programs are necessary to current higher education so students can expand input and output more creatively. I would recommend Japanese high schools to give students more opportunities to input more varieties of knowledge and output their knowledge and ideas into presentation, debate, and discussion. Thank you.
I think we're getting untangled up here.
So in my experience, my high school and higher education did prepare me for this international experience of higher education. I grew up in California. To be specific, it was San Francisco, so it was naturally a melting pot. And so we had a lot of international students, people from all over. And so that did prepare me because I was kind of used to that environment. For any changes I would recommend for my prior education is concerning clubs. We had a lot of Korean student unions, Japanese student unions, Indian student unions, and we didn't have a single international club or like a place where people can get together and celebrate being different. So I think it was really nice to have like a support system, a place where you can be proud of your country and speak to other people with similar backgrounds, but it all became very homogenous, and there was no place like right now at Lakeland, I'm part of the international club, and we didn't have anything like that where I was from. And I think places like high schools, they should have places like that, clubs like that, because it's hard to initiate talking to people you're not familiar with in the lunchroom. So I think it's the school's responsibility to have a safe place for people to talk to each other like that, and just interact and just learn about other people and celebrate being different instead of just having all these separate groups. So I would recommend that high schools and places of higher education, they provide that, like a group like that.
Our next question is switching focus a little bit. It's a two-part question. It's specifically, has your global education prepared you to work with people from other countries or cultures or ethnic groups? And also, has it prepared you at all to work with gays, lesbians, and other sexual minorities? And if not, why? Or if so, how? And so we're going to turn to Takuma for this question.
Okay, I'm going to talk about my high school life in New Zealand. And to be honest, I didn't really have a chance to socialize with gay or lesbian people. Because but I'm going to talk about experience with Maori people, which is the ethnic group. And then the first time when I got there, like my high school was a kind of Maori high school. It's like so only 99% people were Maori people, and only 1% was white people. So yeah, and maybe only few Asian students like me, only 1 or 2 or whatever. What they did was just put me into classes, and all you gotta do is just study and study and study until you get comfortable with the people. And yeah, the first time I didn't get what they're saying, and it took me forever to understand what they're saying because they have a strong accent or whatever. And I realized that it is important to socialize with Maori people because it's a Maori school, obviously. And foreigners in high school, like in Japan, Japanese people ask where you come from, where you're from, about your details and everything. But this didn't happen in New Zealand. You have to choose who you want to be. You just make your own environment until you get comfortable. So it's like my whole school was like a family. Like they protect each other, but except me because I was Asian. I was only Asian. So I was kind of isolated with them. I'm going to talk about when I was in ESOL class, which is like classes for international students. I used to be in ESOL class with others from other countries. What the teacher suggested to do for us is to go on trip and maybe talk with others, like people from Korea or China or whatever, or the Asian country. And we did group activities or discussion. And of course, I had an argument with other Chinese or Korean people because kind of we dislike each other and we don't have like really good relations. And but I guess it was good. So we got to know each other and what we both think about each other. And what I think is that it is important to have a deep conversation with people from other countries. So it was great experience. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Takuma. So the next question on our list, I think, is related to a couple of presentations that we've had here so far today, and a couple that I've attended. Specifically, it's about national identity and national pride. So what effect, if any effect, has your education had on your sense of national identity or national pride? And we're going to ask George and Udai to share their answers.
I was mostly living in Italy, like 15 years, and then I came to Japan for now I'm living about 5 years, 6 almost. So about the education, I think my education, living the education in Italy and in Japan, I had the chance to learn the education through these 2 totally different educations. So it was a very great experience, I think. So about my own experience of education, so as I said, I was living in Italy, so the education, there are a lot of kinds of education, I think. About the school, family, of course, and friends, and the society, I think. And I think I was raised in Italy, so about the education, my parents are Japanese. So at home, my family, they teach me the some of the Japanese style of education. But when I go out at school, the education, I was in normal Italian school, so it's very, very different from Japanese style. So the teachers, everything is different. So I learned in Italy it's very important the respect for people and for the teacher especially. And also the people around you, the friends or the other people, they teach you how we educate ourselves and each other. So I learned a lot of Italian style of education. And talking about the Japanese style, the Japanese education, I learned in these 5 years. I learned a lot of very differences. This I'm still learning because in 5 years it's not even enough. I get the chance to learn this Japanese education, so it was very good experience. But for me, as a born and raised in Italy, my national identity and also national pride, I think outside I'm look at Japanese, but inside, which is very important, I think my national pride is Italian pride. Yes. Thank you.
Go for words.
First, I still confused with my identity, my national identity, because I was grown up in Cal, and when I was at the elementary school, a student, I thought myself I'm a Japanese, and the reason was really simple, because my parents are Japanese. But from my senior friends and also my parents, they told me I'm not a Japanese, because I didn't have any Japanese education. And I was growing up in Macau, and I'm having a Macanese education. So from their point of view, I'm more like a Macanese. But from the Macanese people, from their point of view, I'm Japanese. My appearance is Japanese, that's why. And I was quite confused at that time. But after I graduated my high school and I came to Tama University, I had a lecture about globalization, and I forgot the author's name, but there was a quote about the identity. Like right now in the world, it's like a globalization right now, and the identity is not fixed. And he mentioned that identity is between the countries. So I found out that my identity is between Macau and Japan. That's
What about
all.
China?
China, okay, that's a very good question. In Macau, Macau was a Portuguese colony at the until 1999. So for the Macanese people, their identity is more like the Macanese, and they would distinguish like the mainland Chinese and with the Chinese. So sometimes they told themselves we are Chinese, but we are different from the mainland Chinese. So I don't think Chinese is in my identity. It's more like Macanese and Japanese.
What about Portuguese?
Macanese is like mixed with Chinese and Portuguese. So yeah.
Sounds like everybody's confused.
That's right.
Yudai, thank you. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit and focus on the programs that our students have experienced. And the question is this: what aspect of your global education program do you find the most rewarding? Right? And also, are there any potential downsides or disadvantages? And in the questions that I gave to the students in little size 9 print, it says, "Be nice, don't complain about your college, please." And what recommendations would you make to improve the global education programs in colleges and universities? So let's hear from Daiki and Teresa. Would you like Teresa to go first? Oh, you want to go first? Okay.
Good.
Fortunately, I've seemed to have much chance to be exposed to global education since I was in a middle school. Throughout the global education programs, there are 2 things I think it's really rewarding. First, I would say I have become much less like stereotypical Japanese students who are usually described as timid. Also, I could have absorbed the knowledge and values of other countries, which cannot be observed by merely reading textbook. Despite these things, I think global education has a potential shortcoming. Specifically, I have recently realized I don't know much about my own country compared to Japanese students who have lived Japan for their entire life and attended Japanese schools. If somebody asks me about Japanese history, all I can do is to make embarrassed face. Global education is necessary, and it enables Japanese students to be equipped with varieties of different values and cultural knowledge. However, at the same time, it entails a risk of knowing less about our own country. It's presumptuous of me to make such a remark, but I have thought Japanese education has its own strong point. I have felt Japanese schools teach more material than the international school do. It would be fearful if Japanese colleges and universities technically destroy their own advantages by incorporating full aspects of global education. So I would suggest colleges and universities, Japanese colleges and universities, to assess advantages and disadvantages of their curriculum and incorporate some aspects of global education that will complement its shortcomings. Thank you.
All right.
For me, I believe that the most rewarding part of getting a global education is essentially you're getting 2 types of education. The education you get in classes, and then the education you get outside of classes when you live in a culture that you're not familiar with. In my case, I'm learning a lot of stuff in class at Lakeland, but once I leave the campus, I'm learning about Japanese culture, which I grew up in the States and I didn't know a lot about it, and all the nuances of living in a different country are really kind of shocking to me. But then adapting to a new culture, I think, is just as important as an exam or a midterm. So I believe that you get to like educations when you live in a different country, when you get a global education program. Some potential downsides or disadvantages. This is from my own experience, but in Lakeland, we have a lot of people with different English levels. We have native speakers put together with people who are just starting to learn English, and they'll be learning the same material. And I think a potential downside is that a teacher is inclined to grade perhaps like an essay of a person who's just learning English, more on the content and organization, less on the grammar. And for a native English speaker, the teacher is more inclined to be more strict about the grammar, and then this causes some tension in the classroom between students. Is that fair, or is it a teacher's responsibility to be aware of people's different levels? And I think part of that tension is caused by people being put together in a class with different levels of English. So I know it's it could be very difficult, almost impossible in certain schools, but depending on the number of teachers and class sizes, I think that trying to get people together in the same classes, people with the same, more or less the same English level is important. It does create sort of an uneven playing field when people are forced to be together and learn the same content. That was just something that I noticed, especially around me, students complaining. Besides that, everything else has been really rewarding. So yeah, my recommendation is, if possible, put people together with the same level, English levels. That's the one thing I can think of.
All right, thanks, Teresa. Teresa gave a speech in my class yesterday, and the content was good and the grammar was good too, right? So that's why you got to be great, Teresa. Just for the record. Okay, moving on. Question number 8. Now, I don't have any experience with this at Lakeland College, and I'm sure our 7 panelists also don't have any first-hand knowledge of this. However, some college students demonstrate low motivation by not coming to class, by not doing homework, and trying to sleep or succeeding in sleeping in class. So the question is, what can universities do to increase student motivation? And why do you think that students suffer from low motivation? What are the causes of this? So we're going to ask Hiroyuki and Simon to share their answers.
This is a perfect question for me, as I was and am a low motivated student. There can be many explanations to why students are indifferent of studying, but the most plausible reason is that GPA is not important in Japan, and just the way the classes are made. When I say GPA isn't important in Japan, I mean students don't use it to go to graduate school or to get a job. If you just get into a good university, your life is pretty much set. You don't really have to work hard, you just have to graduate and you'll get an okay job. As for going to graduate school, I don't think going to graduate school is as common in Japan as it might be in other countries. But even if you want to go to a good graduate school, unless you choose to go to the same school as your undergraduate department, admissions will not look at your GPA. So nobody really sweats to get a good grade. So that makes it easier to slack off or skip classes. Also, in a Japanese university, a student will take about 10 different classes that meet once a week for 90 minutes. This varies between departments, but the extreme case I've heard so far was having 20 classes a week. That's a lot. So what happens is that students will have to take classes that they don't like, they're not interested in, or that are very easy, which they give minimum effort to pass because they rather focus on the classes that they like, or just play, or get a job. On the other hand, in Lakeland College, students take about 3 to 5 different classes that meet twice a week. So it's very easy to focus on your studies, and it also gives a sense of direction in your education. So, because it's very easy to get lost when you have 10 different classes, and if you're lost, I think you'll lose your motivation as well. I'm talking too much, but another important factor to consider is the grading methods. Classes at Lakeland College require students to actually come to school, but if you miss too many, you will fail. But in the college I went in Japan, there were classes that were okay to cut class anytime I wanted to. Like I could just skip class because I felt like it, or they're very easy to fake attendance. So I would say universities should make attendance mandatory and impossible to fake presence in class in order to force low motivated students to actually attend class. And if they do actually sit down and listen to professors talking, they might hear something interesting and they might be a little more motivated. Other than that, I would say reducing the numbers of classes might be effective, but that would be difficult because they would have to change the whole educational system, including graduate school. As for not doing their homework, I can't recall getting any homework when I was in a Japanese university. Even if I did, I don't think I would have done it. So I would say they should start by actually giving homework and collecting them, so students will be forced to study. Thank you.
Actually, I can also relate to this question because, yeah, because during high school, actually, my senior year in high school, the last semester, I started really, there were some things that were going on, and I got really demotivated and stopped going to school. And one of the main reasons was because, I was really, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know why I had to go to school and do all this, and I would go talk to the counselor at school, but all they tell me is that I have to go to college. And then I would ask her, why, and she would say, because I have to go to college. Like, there's no answer to that. So I was like, I was kind of, I guess depressed because I didn't know what to do and stopped going to school. And I think that's also the case for many students that they don't know what to do, and therefore, like, they don't want to attend class because they may be thinking, what's the point of all this? And I think the second question was, so what can universities do? I think it's really important for when schools host and hold events where like the students can meet new people, like people from certain corporations or company come and pretty much like demonstrate what they have to offer, what they do, and like show exhibitions and stuff like that. Meet new people, kind of like this event right here. So, and also I think, as much as, it's really important for school to push students, but it's also really, if you think about it, it's ultimately it's up to student. Because if the student's not willing to have the motivation, then, you can't get anywhere, you can't get anywhere from there. So, I don't know how to conclude this, but yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you for your very honest answers, guys, right? For our last question, I'm going to use the annoying scare quotes for a minute, but I think it's kind of appropriate here. So the question is that for many people, the words global or international have become equated with English, right? I mean, here we are in Tokyo at an international conference and we're only speaking English. So the question is, how do you feel about what might happen to other foreign languages? For example, do you think that a university student in Japan should have the right to focus on French or Chinese and not study English at all? So let's ask George what he thinks about that.
Living in Japan, I love the Japanese people global. It means mostly what you think is English, but English is important, but also you don't have to exclude the English language, but also a lot, like global is the entire world. So it's not only English language; it's about other countries also. So I think I was raised in Italy. So in Italy they have a lot of ethnics, a lot of migrants. So if you walk around the city, you hear a lot of different languages inside the city. And so I can actually speak on other languages besides English, like Spanish, and a little bit German, Italian, English, Japanese. So English is basically coming from the Latin language. So Latin language is spread all the Europe, Spanish and Italian is very close language. So like you learn Italian, you can learn Spanish, you may learn German because all the languages are very similar. And also, if you go to Japan, you can learn the maybe the Chinese because the character are very similar. So and also, if you learn one language, you can learn also the culture, a different culture. So it's very important, I think, for me to learn another language besides the English. If you think the English, there is also the UK English and American English, which is very different in terms of the culture and also some languages the UK people don't use in America. So it's very. I think the school they should learn many kinds of languages. But yeah, mostly important and most spoken language all over the world. Thank you.
We do have a few minutes remaining in our session here, so we'll open up the floor to questions for our panelists. Are there any questions? The gentleman in the red shirt in the back.
Yeah, I think, Simon, you mentioned about the GPA and how most Japanese universities, the Japanese students don't care about it so much, or it doesn't mean so much. So what do you think about like a pass-fail system?
So, you mean discarding the ABC thing
Right.
and just making a...
You either pass or you don't pass. Can't use the word fail.
I think that could be effective, but I think you have to set the bar high. Like, if you have to take like 80% to pass, because most students in Japanese university is pretty content with getting a C, and that's like 60% or something. So, and basically you get 60% just by attending. So, yeah, I think the pass-fail system might work, but yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit harsh, I guess.
Thanks, Simon. Oh, all right. Luca, do you have a question?
Absolutely. So you said that we kind of made a compare and contrast on the global education program and traditional education programs. In Japan, do you believe that the interaction between the student body and the professors are very direct and unilateral? Given the fact that unlike the education system in the U.S. or any major Western countries, there are very heavy trafficking between the students and the professors, where they constantly interact. When the Japanese traditional education system is just monkey see, monkey does. The professor writes something on the board and everybody just copies. Do you believe to be that true?
Yeah, I think that is true.
That is true.
Because I never met my professors personally when I was in a Japanese university.
Oh, I see.
And I don't even know if they have an office server. I don't know where they are. I think it's just not a common thing to do, to go to a professor. But I think that's because I was a freshman. If you become a sophomore or junior, you get these small classes that is more, how do you say, specialized to the studies you want to do. In that case, I think you get to talk to professors directly, but in a big class, I don't think you never had the chance to do so.
Oh, I see. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? I do the thing I do in class. 5. Oh, Wayne has a question. Yeah.